As Candace Parker said so perfectly, let's keep it about basketball. That's the only path forward. If you stand with Caitlin Clark and believe it's time for the WNBA to embrace her impact, hit that like button and subscribe for more. And tell us in the comments, did Candace Parker just deliver the truth bomb the league needed to hear? We'll be watching.
I love getting better.
Even while injured, she's been helping teammates from the sideline, giving insights during timeouts, serving as a bridge between the coaching staff and players. Now combine that leadership growth with a Fever squad that has learned to win without her. And the formula is dangerous. Arie McDonald should remain in the rotation. Mitchell is hot. Boston is a force. Hull's confidence is rising. And into this mix returns a fully healthy Caitlin Clark. The timing couldn't be better. And it's not just whispers behind the scenes anymore. From players and media figures to leadership at the very top of the WNBA, a toxic resistance has taken hold. But why? The numbers tell the story. Caitlin Clark is single-handedly driving the league's biggest growth in history. Record-breaking ratings, sold-out arenas, merch flying off shelves, a projected $1 billion in revenue this year alone. Yet, instead of embracing this success, the league seems determined to deny it.
No, we have not. So if we have more eyeballs on the game and Caitlin Clark brings that, why would we feel some kind of way because she has more television games? I think we have to understand that when one player eats, we all eat. And as we all get more opportunities, it just opens it up for everyone else. And I think Caitlin has said that even herself in certain interviews. And I love that. I love that she's not the player who's like, it's all about her. It's not. She's giving love and homage to those of us that have come before her. She shares the wealth with her teammates, and she doesn't have to do that.
You know, I think that rivalry is super important. I think conversation is super important. You know, I tuned in when Kevin Durant went back and played Russell Westbrook, and they bumped shoulders and everybody was tuned in. But I want to keep it within the lines of the game. And I think that's what's the most important. Now everybody has a Twitter finger. Everybody can have reach to, you know, the WNBA and make comments. But really the key is let's keep it about basketball. That's my thing. And when we do that, then we're able to really grow the game and what it represents.
Just how serious was Caitlin's injury? In her public comments, Caitlin said the injury happened during the Liberty game, but she couldn't pinpoint the moment. And fans who had been watching closely weren't buying it. Many believed she had been playing through pain for weeks, looking visibly less explosive in multiple games. Analysts noted she didn't look right in preseason, and her lift and quickness were dulled even before the Liberty game. If true, that changes everything. Because here's the thing, even at 60 or 70%, Caitlin was still producing highlights, drawing record viewership, and keeping the Fever competitive. Imagine what happens if she's coming back at full strength. And there's another layer. If the Fever knew she was playing through injury and kept putting her on the floor, that's a liability nightmare. We're talking about a player estimated to bring nearly $1 billion in value to the WNBA this season alone.
Here's Clark. Wow! You bet! From beyond the logo! And a little point afterwards.
If this was a managed risk that finally forced her out, the team and league had every incentive to be vague about what really happened. They took revenge on the Mystics. And in a rematch against the Chicago Sky, they didn't just win, they obliterated them. A 62-point combined margin across 2 games. And this was all without Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, or their head coach Stephanie White. Kelsey Mitchell rediscovered her scoring touch. Aaliyah Boston continued to dominate inside. Lexi Hull became a lethal shooter from deep, pushing for most improved player consideration. The Fever were growing up fast. And they did it without their superstar. But as the team evolved, a different conversation started swirling. Now they're about to face a Fever squad that's deeper, more confident, and led by the league's most dangerous player. But here's what should scare the WNBA most. This time away has given Caitlin something new, a coach's mindset, a clear understanding of how to elevate her teammates, and a fire that's only grown stronger while sidelined. If she was drawing millions of viewers and driving the league's narrative at 70%, what happens now that she's rested and ready? The answer is simple. The WNBA is about to change again, and Caitlin Clark is leading the charge. So buckle up, because when she steps back on that court, it won't just be a comeback, it will be a statement. If you're ready to watch Caitlin Clark rewrite the story of this season, hit like, subscribe, and drop a trophy emoji in the comments. The return is coming, and you won't want to miss it.
And I think Caitlin Clark has done that even in her first year in terms of, being able to be that floor general. Her and Aaliyah Boston's connection has really improved. And I think the thing about Caitlin, yes, she can shoot from the logo, but she makes her team better.
Candace Parker just said what every Caitlin Clark fan has been screaming all season, and it left Caitlin's haters completely silenced on national TV. And she wasn't the only legend speaking up. Lisa Leslie, a Hall of Famer and one of the WNBA's most respected voices, echoed Parker's message in an earlier interview. We cannot deny what Caitlin Clark has done for the women's game. She's had a huge effect, the Caitlin Clark effect. If we have more eyeballs on the game, why would we feel some kind of way?
Marketing, and we cannot deny what Caitlin Clark has done for the women's game. I'm not going to act like it's something that we don't see. She's had a huge effect called the Caitlin Clark effect. Yes, have we ever had teams have to get into larger arenas to play against a team?
Instead of celebrating Clark's historic debut, the headlines were hijacked. Suddenly, the story wasn't about basketball. It was about controversy. And from there, it only got worse. As Clark continued to dominate on the court, online hate campaigns escalated. Disgusting conspiracy theories spread, including one accusing Clark of using her assistant coach's baby as a prop. Meanwhile, actual threats were made against Clark and her teammates, messages with bullseyes drawn on players' faces, and warnings of violence. And, through it all, silence. Not a word from the WNBA. No statement, no condemnation, no support. But what exactly did Candace say on ESPN? And why has this one interview sparked outrage, exposed deep jealousy in the WNBA, and forced the league to confront its biggest controversy yet? Stay tuned, because this was the truth bomb no one saw coming.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Clark, guard for the Indiana Fever.
Gets bumped, will take, and hit from three.
Caitlin Clark's rise in the WNBA should be a moment of celebration. Instead, it's exposed a deep, uncomfortable truth about the league, a wave of jealousy, bitterness, and targeted hate that has overshadowed her incredible impact. In fact, it might be the best news possible, because if Caitlin has finally taken time to fully heal, we might be about to see the best version of her yet. And her mindset during recovery gives even more reason for optimism. While sidelined, Caitlin hasn't disengaged. Far from it. She's throwing herself into film, studying from the bench, and acting almost like a coach.
22 in blue for the Fever. There's Caitlin Clark, who is out with that lower leg.
She openly said she misses practice more than anything, not just games. That love of the grind, it's rare, and it's a warning sign to the rest of the league. Stay tuned, because records could fall. And when she steps back on that court, everything could change. The WNBA without Caitlin Clark, it was exposed fast.
What the hell do we do now? An injured Caitlin Clark saying, good luck now! The basketball goal gets higher and higher. Pressure on people, mainly Angel Reese, under pressure.
When news broke of her quad injury and that she'd miss at least 2 weeks, fans were concerned, but few realized just how clear her impact would become.
That breaking news, Indiana Fever guard Caitlin Clark is out for a minimum of 2 weeks. That's according to ESPN.
Candace's answer was clear, powerful, and impossible to ignore. My job was to leave the game better than I came into it. You think Cheryl Miller is resentful that I had a league to play in? Number she mentored me. And I'm doing the same for Caitlin Clark and all the women in the WNBA.
A sensational young player who's brought a lot of popularity to the WNBA, and I'll leave it at that. And get to a more micro question, and that would be this. When we look at the WNBA, whether we've speculated about resentment or whatever it is, ultimately it comes down to the fact that there were an abundance of women in the WNBA doing tremendous, tremendous work on behalf of the WNBA and the game of basketball.
She openly said she misses practice more than anything, not just games. That love of the grind, it's rare, and it's a warning sign to the rest of the league.
Not a very patient person, no.
How is this kind of testing?
Yeah, I think it's an opportunity to grow, right? Just try to approach it in the best way I can. It's certainly weird. I think at times the hardest part is like just not being able to be involved in practice. Like, I love practice. Not a ton of people always enjoy like coming to practice every single day, but that's something I like really enjoy. Like, I really enjoy coming out here and like competing every single day with my teammates. Like, that's probably honestly what I miss most. Obviously, I miss the games. That goes for anybody that's ever hurt, but like, I love practice.
And worse, they've allowed a dangerous narrative to spiral out of control. The signs were there from day one, after Clark's sensational season opener against the Chicago Sky, a game that pulled in a staggering 2.7 million viewers, the most watched WNBA regular season game in 25 years.
First in the league in fast break points. Clark connects, dishing, Smith hitting from three. Boston comes up with a rejection.
What was the league's response? An investigation, not into the game, not into officiating, but into the fans, over alleged hate speech that, as the video points out, was based on nothing more than online rumors.
You think Cheryl Miller is resentful for me that I had a league to play in? No, she's being the mentor that she is, and she's supporting and loving and sitting courtside cheering on Juju Watkins. And I'm doing the same for Caitlin Clark and all the women in the WNBA.
With those words, Parker shattered the jealousy narrative. No excuses, no spin, just the truth that lifting up the next generation is how great leagues are built. But she wasn't done. Candace also called out the toxic race-driven narratives polluting the conversation around Clark. Let's keep it about basketball. That's the key. And when we do that, we can really grow the game. A direct challenge to those pushing culture wars over on-court excellence. When news broke of her quad injury and that she'd miss at least 2 weeks, fans were concerned, but few realized just how clear her impact would become.
That breaking news, Indiana Fever guard Caitlin Clark is out for a minimum of 2 weeks. That's according to ESPN. The former Iowa Hawkeye star is suffering a left quad strain. She missed the Fever's first preseason game against the Mystics on May 3rd due to that injury, but played in the following game against the Brazilian national team. It's unclear right now how she re-aggravated the injury.
Ticket prices tanked. For the Fever's first game without her, seats were going for as low as $3. That's right, cheaper than a small popcorn. In one calm, logical interview, Parker left the haters exposed. The whispers of resentment silenced. The racial narratives rejected. The excuses shattered. And in doing so, she sent a clear message to the WNBA. Either embrace this moment and Caitlin Clark's impact, or risk destroying it. Now the league faces a choice: continue allowing bitterness to dominate the conversation, or follow the example of legends like Parker and Leslie and rally behind the players who are growing the game. Because this isn't just about Caitlin Clark anymore, it's about the WNBA's future. A future that depends on welcoming new fans, celebrating stars, and keeping the focus where it belongs: on basketball. The contrast between the WNBA with Caitlin and without her has never been clearer. The Fever have been battle-tested. The league's dependence on Clark is undeniable. And now, with her comeback imminent, records could fall again. The stage is set. The stakes are high. And the WNBA is about to feel the full force of Caitlin Clark's return. The stage is set. The Fever have proven they can win without Caitlin. The league has proven it can't thrive without her. And now, Caitlin Clark is about to return, stronger, smarter, and with something to prove. Viewership records about to fall again. Ticket prices already surging for games where her comeback is expected. And rival teams, they've had their moment.
So Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, embrace this. It's okay.
Yeah, I think
because all y'all do is compete.
That was the moment the narrative shifted. Candace, Lisa, and Stephen A. didn't just defend Clark, they exposed the bitter core of the resistance against her.
Damn!
And with millions watching, the haters were left humiliated. Their arguments dismantled live on national TV.
Yeah.
I said it's awesome.
So that's a flagrant foul.
That's not a flagrant foul.
Okay.
Angel's foul right here. That was harder.
No, Angel
Took it a reaction.
That's more.
But they didn't call that.
Howard in the back, two hands.
She did push it. They didn't call that.
Caitlin appears to be pointing out that call before.
You got to look at the different angle. The initial foul, I was like, no, it wasn't. So here's my thing.
$3 is actually a fair price because everyone knows without Caitlin Clark, nobody cared about tonight's game. Caitlin Clark runs this league, and we still managed to get clapped up by 30 even without her playing. Thank God she didn't play, or else we might have lost by 50. But I don't sell tickets, I sell victimhood. So the reason we lost tonight is because of racism. Caitlin Clark mocked me when I traveled, and that's very racist. That's why we lost tonight.
And the message was clear. This is Caitlin Clark's league. Meanwhile, the Fever struggled. Their first game without Caitlin ended in a loss to the Mystics.
I just had the miserable task of watching the Indiana Fever play basketball without Caitlin Clark. There were a whole lot of things wrong with this game on the basketball side of things. Obviously, the Indiana Fever's interior defense was horrible.
But that's when something unexpected happened. Ari McDonald, a hardship signing, stepped in and immediately changed the vibe.
8-0 run. The Fever now on an 11-2 advantage. Miscommunication and stolen by McDonald, who races to the other end and finishes.
Well, if that doesn't get your engine going for Ari McDonald, you force the timeout off your defense.
She brought pace, energy, and a much-needed spark. Suddenly, the Fever had life again. They took revenge on the Mystics. And in a rematch against the Chicago Sky, they didn't just win, they obliterated them. A 62-point combined margin across 2 games. And this was all without Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, or their head coach Stephanie White.
Everybody knows that is a given.
The so-called Caitlin versus Angel Reese rivalry? Dead on arrival. Angel delivered one of the most disappointing performances of the season in front of a nearly 20,000-person crowd.
Angel, I'm just going to get straight to it. You shat all over the court tonight. You had more turnovers than field goals made once again. You went 2 for 7 with 3 turnovers and had just 4 points. And you had 5 rebounds to pad your rebound stats. And you were out there trying to stat pad down 30 in the fourth quarter, but you're so trash that you couldn't even do that and managed to score 0 points in garbage time, and tickets were going for $3 tonight. I think you owe everyone a refund for what we witnessed out there. I could have bought a coffee instead of watching whatever the hell that was. Do you have any damn shame, Angel? Thank you.
Excited to get back out there eventually, but yeah.
Caitlin Clark's return is about to shock the WNBA, and it's going to change everything. While she's been out, the Indiana Fever transformed. The league got exposed. And now, Caitlin's comeback is near. But this isn't just about one player getting healthy. It's about a team that learned to win without her. It's about a league that couldn't survive without her. And it's about Caitlin coming back stronger, smarter, and more dangerous than ever.
I've never been a patient person my entire life, so this has definitely tested me a little bit, but I think it's going to be really good for me. And like I said, I've just tried to approach it in the best way I possibly can. You know, I can't change it. But yeah, I think my patience has definitely grown a lot. And like I said, just trying to grow and learn, and I think I've certainly done that.
But here's the twist no one's talking about. How injured was she, really? And what version of Caitlin Clark are we about to see?